Okay, repeat after me. Oh, since we last spoke!
Oh, since we last spoke.
Helicopters have been crashing. Billionaires have been preparing for the end of the world. The military have now joined Gen Z protesters. Markets crashed and crypto saw the largest liquidation event in history. And after 2 years, all of the remaining alive Israeli hostages have been returned. So, pretty quiet weekend all around. All of that and so much more. Subscribe to the channel for reasons I cannot think of in the moment. And let's stop the yapping and let's go! Come back in! Yeah, my back is feeling better today. Woo! After a whole month of breathing this crap in, I know that I'm gonna die. Okay, I think it's only right to be kicking today off with the news that many people believed we would not be reporting on today. All 20 of the last remaining alive Israeli hostages have now been returned. It is done. Huge crowds gathered and broke out into celebrations as the hostages were reunited with their families for the first time in 2 years. Also, the bodies of 28 deceased Israeli hostages will also be handed over today. In exchange, buses carrying 250 Palestinian prisoners and 1,700 detainees from Gaza have also started arriving in Ramallah. And the crowds waiting for them on the other side, they were also ecstatic to see them get back. Now, there's also been some discussion on why people are referring to the Palestinians as prisoners, whereas the Israelis as hostages. And if you look at it, the vast majority of publications, including, in fact, I didn't find anyone that didn't do this, and this includes Al Jazeera, Hamas themselves, they've all referred to the Israelis as hostages and the Palestinians as prisoners. Now, this seems to just be down to commonly used definitions. So, a hostage is typically a person kept for leverage, a condition, or to negotiate an outcome. Whereas a prisoner is someone held in captivity following a criminal conviction in a court of law. Now, it should be noted that Israel have had trials for thousands of Palestinians that they have been keeping, but not all. Many others, including children, have been detained indefinitely without due process. So the question is, what are they? Are they hostages? Do you need to specifically be using them as a bargaining chip in negotiations for them to be referred to as that? Have Israel done that? Point is, without getting caught up in all of the definitions, there is some debate on the terminology that is used. Now, Donald Trump has also just arrived in Israel on Air Force One, and he was greeted by Netanyahu on arrival. He then headed to Jerusalem, where, this is an interesting part, he became only the 4th US president ever to address the Israeli parliament, and also the first to do so in nearly 2 decades. So that really puts it into perspective how significant the moment that this is right now. Also, Trump was asked if he would want to visit Gaza, and he said, I would like to, or at least put my feet on it. He also said many times the war is now over, which, I mean, I guess we'll see. Because remember, this is only the first step, and there are still so many very difficult issues that haven't yet been addressed or figured out. But in saying that, so many people were doubtful, even when it was announced that they had agreed to this, that the first stage wouldn't be complete. Yet, here we are. So who knows what could happen next? And this is by far the biggest progress that has been made in the last 2 years. Caroline Levitt posted a video from Air Force One of the view as they were traveling to Israel, saying it's a new dawn in the Middle East. Do you agree? What do you guys think? Does this mark a new dawn in the Middle East? And if not, what do you need to see to happen for you to consider and agree with that statement? Let me know in the comments. But for now, moving on. How are you doing down there?
Yeah, how you doing up there?
Yeah, I feel like we can get a bit more smoky in there, babe.
Yeah, your throat's okay. Ready? How good is that?
That's puny.
Oh, you want
Come
more?
on.
Yeah, but it's gonna rise.
Woo! Look at that shit. Come on, boy.
Woo!
Empire tornado.
He's a wizard.
I am a wizard. Okay guys, we got some breaking news coming to you. You shouldn't be getting it in this episode, but you are, because the Empire loves to over-deliver. Police have just confirmed that they have arrested streamer HSTikkyTokky after a year-long manhunt. Here's what we know so far. So police issued a warrant for Harrison's arrest all the way last year in March, and this is because he missed a court appearance for dangerous driving. Now, he is accused of fleeing the scene after a car crash that left 3 people injured. It was with another car as well, and he was later, when he didn't return up to court, charged with using his phone while driving, driving without insurance, failure to stop after an accident, failing to report an accident, dangerous driving, etc. And the thing is, he's accused of not just fleeing the scene afterwards, but also fleeing the entire country, which is why it was a year-long manhunt. And yeah, I know he streamed every day and stuff, but what are the Essex police gonna do if bro's in another country, all right? They're not gonna get on a plane, and it's not that deep, you know? That's what they're probably saying. But if he ever returned to the UK, which ultimately was inevitable, that's where he is from, this would happen. He would get arrested. So he was arrested on Friday, he appeared in court on Saturday, and then he is actually being held further for another court appearance, which is tomorrow. And the thing is, usually, for what he is being charged with, it usually is just points on the license, fine. But because he left the country, he didn't turn up to court, that could be seen as an aggravating factor, which could come with additional charges, and that could complicate things. So we'll find out tomorrow, and I'll update you guys on Wednesday. Hope you guys are having a great time in the studio. Love you. Moving on. Also, over the weekend, if you own any cryptocurrency, I can see your tears. Multiple market data services and outlets called this the biggest single-day liquidation wave on record. Roughly $20 billion in leveraged positions were liquidated in about 24 hours. And as crazy as that is, that's not even the main story on what we're talking about. Okay, it's getting a bit smoky in here. That's puny.
Oh, you
Come on.
Yeah, but it's gonna rise.
Woo! Look at that shit. Come on, boy! The craziest part is the video that Coffeezilla just posted after all of this, titled, "What Did Trump Know?" And the interesting thing about this is that many are saying that Trump's Truth Social post, where he threatened China with 100% tariffs, that was the trigger for the incredible crash that we saw. But in all the chaos, one mystery trader made $190 million in 24 hours off of this tweet. Sus? Oh yeah. That's more than 99.9% make in a lifetime. And bro's doing this in a day? Just wait till you learn how he made it. So according to Coffeezilla, on the 9th of October, some mystery trader started placing massive shorts, 80 million against Bitcoin and 30 million against Ethereum. And for anyone wondering, a short is basically like a prediction that something is gonna fall. And 80 million on Bitcoin, 30 million on Ethereum, that's a confident prediction. And key point, this mystery trader put this down before there was any public knowledge about Trump's tariff threats. So at about 2:57 GMT, Trump posted this Truth Social post about increasing tariffs. But despite this, the trader continued shorting, suggesting that maybe they were waiting for something bigger. Then a few hours later at 8:50 p.m. GMT, Trump announced those 100% tariffs against China. And then, just one single minute before then, the mystery trader placed his final short. So signaling, suggesting, yeah, he knew that this was gonna do it. This person then closed all positions 30 minutes later, netting 190 million. So, I mean, the big question is, who is this person? Because their near perfect timing suggests that they must have had prior knowledge to this tweet. Sorry, it's called This Truth. Sending out a truth. Oh, it's not easy language to catch on, I'm not gonna lie to you. But the bigger question, on top of just who this person is how is this legal? Because guess what? It absolutely is. Even if we found out exactly who this person is today, they wouldn't be charged with insider trading because that applies to securities, not necessarily crypto. And you know what's so ironic? This is right after we covered about Baron Trump being a 150 millionaire off of crypto. And now, hey, don't you put words in my mouth. I'm not even nearly suggesting that Barron had anything to do with it, okay? Or that this was him. I'm just simply pointing out the irony and the humor that we just covered Barron. And we haven't in ages, so shut up. But yeah, definitely go watch Coffeezilla's video because the way he puts it is pretty staggering. And he's also suggesting that this isn't isolated to just the Trump announcement with China. He suggests it's with other things like with OpenAI, even with the Nobel Peace Prize. Someone somehow knew before. So the system right now appears to be favoring those with privileged information and also with little to no consequence. Moving on. But speaking about privileged information when it comes to the markets, I need to know what privileged information do the billionaires of the world have about the end of the world? Because, according to a new report by the BBC over the weekend, quote, tech billionaires seem to be doom prepping. Should we all be worried? God damn!
Want some more?
Yes, give me more. And the thing is, I can handle, missing out on 190 million because I don't have access to Trump's Truth Social tweeting. But I cannot handle being left fighting zombies because I don't have the hookup on that information. That's what I need to know this shit. In this report, they detail that Mark Zuckerberg, for example, has been constructing this massive compound. We've actually covered this before in Hawaii. And he's been doing so for the past 10 years. And it's capable of even providing its own food and energy. It's an underground shelter spanning about 5,000 square feet. Which actually is only about the size of a basketball court. This is not too big. But Zuckerberg, he has previously said, this is not a doomsday bunker, guys. Chill out. It's a basement. Sure, buddy. And this is not a garage. It's a professional studio. He also, more recently, even included more underground shelter spaces, basements, at his properties in California. And apparently his neighbors even call it his bat cave. Why your neighbors know about it, huh? But the thing is, if it was just Zuck, that would be one thing, He's a unique individual, let's say that. But apparently, according to this report, it is not. Reid Hoffman, the co-founder of LinkedIn, he also has arranged his own apocalypse insurance, and he claimed that about half of the billionaires that he knows have done the same. What group chat are they in at this point? Half? That's crazy. I mean, let's be honest. Even if we were a part of this group chat, what would we do, huh? We're not building our own bunkers. Probably the best thing you could do if you weren't a billionaire is go to somewhere super remote, like Alice Springs. But then if we all go to Alice Springs, then it's kind of cooked. You can cut that part. I don't think anyone knows about Alice Springs, Alex. No one needs to know. Now, the report says that many of these billionaires have been buying up land in foreign countries for their own doomsday compounds, with New Zealand being reportedly amongst the favorite. New Zealand, huh? We just covered a story about them too. Weird. In his own words, Hoffman once said, saying you're buying a house in New Zealand is kind of like a wink wink, say no more. Bro, they've even they've got their own code language now. They're such a little tight-knit group, huh? Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think that they're prepping because they know something specific, or it's just general end-of-the-world preparations? Like we all do. Kind of like cleaning our house, preparing for the end of the world. Moving on! Also, yet another wild incident took place over the weekend. A helicopter lost control, and I'm pretty sure you've probably seen videos of this already. It lost control, and it crashed amongst the Huntington Beach in California. And because this happened in such a populated area, we got, I think, about 1 million, maybe 1,000,001 different angles of this thing going down. Even I saw one from the point of where the helicopter crashed, and they were literally just filming it right there. Crazy. 5 people were hospitalized because of this. We don't exactly know their conditions right now. And also 3 pedestrians that were on the ground. Now, they're still investigating the cause and why this crashed, but as you can see by one of the million different videos, the rear rotor seems to stop working. In fact, a piece of the chopper fell off onto the ground just before it crashed. Now, if you're wondering, what was this helicopter? What is it even doing? Apparently, it's associated with an annual fundraising event in the area where flybys kind of form part of the show, which would make sense why so many people were, I guess, filming it. But yeah, hopefully the people that were injured in this come out okay and, you know, got lucky. So keep you guys updated. Moving on. Also, over the weekend, guys, I don't know if we've all forgotten about it or something, but the US government is still shut down and it's getting pretty crazy. And if the government being shut down isn't crazy enough, to add on top of that, the Trump administration is now carrying out those mass firings that they promised us a few weeks ago that would happen if the government shut down. Promises made, promises kept. But petitions made and petitions kept, all right? That's the quote of the channel. No, but for serious, this is people's jobs and livelihoods at stake. In fact, over 4,000 federal staff have received layoff notices this past Friday. And according to the Trump administration, even more layoffs are coming. They argue that these layoffs are necessary to ensure essential government services have funding. But many others argue that the Trump administration are using this as a tactic, a bluffing tactic to get the Democrats who are, refusing to pass this bill to finally stand down and be like, all right, this is getting too crazy. Let them have it. Now, many of the Republicans, including Trump, have blamed the Democratic Party for this shutdown, and they even said that the layoffs were targeting Democrat-orientated workers. Now, the Democrats refusing to budge on this bill, they are saying that this whole situation is being used as a political weapon for Trump to gain more control. And they also said they are refusing to pass this budget, which would cut millions of dollars from essential services. They also said that by dragging this out and firing more people, the Trump administration is choosing to inflict more pain on people. In fact, it's even gone as far as 2 unions now suing the Trump administration for these layoffs. So, all very normal in the US at the minute. Moving on. Also, one country where things are absolutely not normal right now is Madagascar. And guys, Gen Z might be in the midst of overthrowing yet another government. Now, as we reported on recently, the country has been rocked over the past few weeks by Gen Z-led protests. And they are protesting against things like government corruption, negligence, and abuse of power. I believe this all started with electricity cuts and water cuts, but now it's ramped into something so much bigger because in a major development over the weekend, the president has now warned that one of the country's major military units called Capstat has flipped and is now joined the side of the protesters. That is a huge development. And reportedly, they too are now calling for the president to resign and for a new government. But what makes things even crazier about this whole situation is that this was the military unit that were actually the ones who helped install the current president, Rajoelina, back into power in a 2009 coup. What he giveth, he taketh away. In fact, even despite what happened in 2009, that very president is saying that there is now an attempt to seize power illegally and by force, and then called for the rest of the country's authorities and the country, in fact, in general, to unite in defense of constitutional order and national sovereignty. So yeah, I will keep you guys updated, but, who knows? We may see Madagascar have a new president for the first time in 16 years. And again, Gen Z could be the reason. Now, I am trying to stick to 6 stories on Monday and Wednesday. And so that means we have used up all of our news tokens. Insert more to keep playing. Well, guess what? You don't have any more. You get more on Wednesday. 6 more news tokens, and then many millions of tokens rain down on a Friday. But for now, I will see you on for a catch-up Wednesday. Have a good beginning of your week. Love you all. Bye.
That is so good.